Nutrition is fundamental to human health. Unfortunately, our food system and our environment isn't really in line with our biology anymore.
And when might food alone not be enough to support our immunity?
Our immune system typically deteriorates with age. Physical activity helps reduce that deterioration. So relatively short periods of poor sleep quality has been shown to reduce immune function.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mahsa Sheikh. I am currently head of research at REVIV. My background is in molecular medicine and biomedical engineering. And my work at REVIV involves research in precision nutrition and precision health and ensuring that all our initiatives are firmly rooted in scientific evidence.
Hi there, my name's Dr. Pascale Ricci. I am head of precision nutrition at REVIV. I've been with the company now for over 6 years, I think, on the last count. And my role is basically all things genetic and conveying the importance of knowing somebody's genetic predispositions and how that impacts their nutrition and their health going forward. So translating that as best as possible for our customers. And positively having an impact on their wellness and health.
Pascale, how would you describe the immune system to someone who isn't medical?
So our immune system is basically your own personal army or security system. It is our most important protection against bacteria, viruses, fungi. Without our immune system, these pathogens or foreign things would otherwise replicate uncontrollably and cause issues within our body. So basically, thanks to evolution, we have a really wonderful but highly complex system of cells, proteins and signaling substances, and that's basically their job to identify where there is an issue and then also mount an attack to fight against them.
A lot of people think about immunity only during the flu season, but why does it require year-round support?
Your immune system is working 24/7, 365 days of the year, and really your support of it should do too. So building and maintaining your immune system isn't just a seasonal fix, it's something that you need to work on long term. Consistent habits are the key to building a strong immune system, and that helps provide something that is really resilient, but also benefits your energy, makes sure that you can recover faster from illnesses as well, and also reduces the risk of having chronic conditions. If you think about it, yes, colds and flu, they do happen over the winter season, but then there are also, whether it's bacteria, viruses, they're there all year round. You also have seasons or summertime where it brings allergens, very pertinent at the moment. You have back to school season and lots of viruses in particular are going round, and that's even without considering, travel-related illnesses or foodborne viruses. And so you can see that it's something you want your immune system to be working well for you all year round, and something that, supplementing just over a winter period, for example, or focusing on it purely during winter is not going to help you build that to maintain something that will help you. So consistency is key. Sporadic efforts, for example, just taking vitamin D over the winter months is not really going to cut it. You need to make sure that you have something that you're doing regularly to help maintain your immune system.
And how much do things like stress, poor sleep, and lifestyle choices actually influence your immune resilience?
So lifestyle factors play a really crucial part in maintenance of a good immune system. Not just from a susceptibility to infections, but also from to make sure that you recover from these faster, better. Things like physical activity, making sure that you have a really balanced, nutrient-rich diet, avoidance of smoking, for example, only moderate consumption of alcohol, making sure that you have really good sleep as best as possible, good quality sleep, and also stress management. These things all play an important part on making sure that your immune system is working as best it can. So our immune system typically deteriorates with age. So physical activity helps reduce that deterioration, and also it lowers levels of things called cytokines within our body that are basically chemical messengers that our body or our immune system produce to communicate and coordinate their immune response. So basically physical activity has been shown on all through 3 accounts to help boost your immune function. And actually from a scientific perspective, it's the most reduced risk has been demonstrated from going from no physical activity at all to even just a slight moderate activity. So that can be really beneficial to somebody who's really starting on their immune system building journey. Diets rich particularly in so plant-based foods and healthy fats, so typically referred to as a Mediterranean style diet, has been shown to improve immune system support. It also helps by regulating our gut microbiome, so the bacteria that live within our gut. That's really important. And has then also been shown to reduce any low-grade inflammation. Nutritional deficiencies therefore do the reverse. So they have been shown to cause low-grade inflammation, reduce your ability or your immune system's capability to function, and then therefore that reduces your immune resilience as well. But making sure that you have adequate levels of nutrients, vitamins, fatty acids and antioxidants ensure good and optimal immune cell metabolism and response. So sleep is also a really critical regulator of immune system function and resilience. So relatively short periods of poor sleep quality has been shown to reduce immune function and also increase, therefore, susceptibility to infection and a longer time to recover from any illnesses as a result. It shifts your body essentially into a fight mode rather unnecessarily, which again heightens systemic inflammation, so all over your body, and therefore will have an impact naturally on your ability to mount an immune response.
What role does stress really play in suppressing the immune system?
So stress is really interesting actually because it has a bidirectional impact on how well your immune system works. So it varies whether that is acute, so something that's happening now but for a short period of time, or whether it's more chronic stress that is happening over a much longer period of time. And actually an acute stress response heightens or makes better your immune system. So it makes it more resilient and mounts a better response. So in things like, for example, when you're fighting an infection or whether you've had an injury, so that can be actually a good thing. Conversely, though, chronic stress is something that negatively impacts your immune system. Individual variability in terms of your own response to stress and its impact on the immune system is dependent on quite a few things. So things like genetics, epigenetics, but also psychosocial factors as well.
Are there any ways we can help reduce stress?
So things like cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, has been found as a validated way of helping reduce stress, and other methods for stress management. So social interaction is actually really important, particularly in this day and age where everybody's got their head in their phones. So making sure that you have as much social connection as possible. Mindfulness, however that may be for that individual. And also exercise or any sort of physical activity is going to be something that is being time and again shown to have a positive impact on stress management and reducing stress.
Pascale, which nutrients would you say are the pillars of the immune system?
So there are some really crucial ones. So we have vitamins A, C, D, and E. Sorry, it's going to be a rather long list. So then you also have your B vitamins, but particularly B12, B6 and B9, so folate. Also minerals, if you think about zinc, selenium, copper and iron have a role here as well. These micronutrients are really important for maintaining your immune system, so how it functions, but also modulation of how they signal to one another, so cellular immune responses as well. And deficiencies, therefore, in these vitamins and minerals will impair immune competence, basically, in an individual.
We hear a lot about vitamins, but what role do proteins and amino acids actually play in the immune system?
that's a good question. So amino acids and proteins are really important for immune system function. So you have proteins that, for example, they form the fundamental structures of your immune cells, but then we need amino acids to be able to help your immune system and your immune cells proliferate, so replicate, and then also make sure that each white cell becomes the specific white cell that is required at that moment in time, so known as differentiation. And naturally, if you have a deficiency in either proteins or amino acids, then that impairs your immune system function, and also by default it's your resilience as well to fight infection. Particular amino acids, so glutamine, arginine, and also branched chain fatty acids are particularly important. And also sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine is really important for glutathione synthesis, which is one of our major or master antioxidants, which really helps reduce toxins known as free radicals and helps suppress any oxidative stress, which has been linked to inflammation and again systemic inflammation, so all around the body, and susceptibility to chronic inflammatory diseases.
Can you share some everyday whole foods that can help support the immune system?
Yeah, so this really comes back to your fundamentals of what you need to make sure you've got on board to really try and help your immune system be as strong as it can be. So we spoke about your vitamins, so A, C, and E, for example. Vitamin D is a real pillar of immune strength. Then your minerals, so for example, selenium, copper, iron, and zinc. Making sure that you also incorporate fatty acids, polyphenols, so antioxidants is a really important thing to be conscious of as well. So those are going to be predominantly found in whole foods such as nuts and seeds. You have omega-3s particularly, so EPA and DHA found in fatty fish, so mackerel, anchovy, salmon, those sorts of things. So making sure that you have plenty of fruit and vegetables. We often say, make sure that your plate is a rainbow colours, because that makes sure that you have a really good variety, and you're more likely to have a really strong antioxidant base to what you're eating and feeding your body. Also, whole grains are really important there, as they benefit your gut microbiota. So again, your good bacteria that sits within your gut. And then thinking also about fermented foods, because so things like kimchi or kefir, because they contain probiotics that similarly are really important for gut health. Making sure that inflammation within your gut is kept under check. And basically, again, then is important from an absorption to make sure that your body is absorbing all of this goodness.
And when might food alone not be enough to support our immunity?
So there are several cases where that might be true. So food on a balanced diet, balanced nutrition is going to be one of the fundamentals of making sure that your immune system is working properly, but also overall health and wellness. But there are specific cases that do have a crucial negative impact on your immune system, where diet alone then might not be sufficient to make the difference, if you see what I mean. So things like chronic stress, I'm going to come back to it again, but sleep is going to be a really important thing here that reduces your immune system's ability to function, reduces those good chemical signals that I mentioned earlier, and reduces inflammation. And actually, it's been shown that even if you have a good, for example, 2, for argument's sake, good night's sleep, as almost catch-up sleep, that's not enough to completely reverse the negative impact on your immune system. So it really is something that we need to be mindful of to really improve. Other things like vitamin D deficiency, for example, is an extremely common scenario, and we need vitamin D. It's one of the pillars that we've spoken about and is really crucial for immune system function. So making sure that you are not vitamin D deficient is going to be one of the most important things going forward, particularly if you don't get adequate sunlight, especially now going into winter months as well. It is something to think about. So people who do have chronic illnesses, they will tend to have a higher level of background inflammation, which again negatively impacts your immune system, and specifically diseases perhaps that will impact your body's ability to absorb adequate nutrients and minerals. So things, for example, like Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, and other malabsorption issues. So, for example, like celiac disease or gluten intolerance. Things that will have a negative impact directly on health, for example, also play a role here. So thinking about smoking and alcohol consumption, food isn't going to catch that up no matter how good your diet is. If you still have toxins, essentially, that's going to negatively impact how your body is able to support you, particularly again with reference to the immune system as well. And then there's also, I know we've mentioned physical activity, but if you go too far, as it were, so over exercising or significant training can actually negatively impact the immune system as well. And so you really need to make sure that you're recovering or letting your body recover adequately before starting again, just so that you give your immune system time to respond and not overtrain. And the last one here to think about as well is that actually 70% of your immune system, we find it in your gut. So if there's a dysregulation or something known as dysbiosis there, then that also is going to have an impact on how well your immune system is functioning. Nutrition is fundamental to human health. Unfortunately, our food system and our environment isn't really in line with our biology anymore, and it is causing inflammation, it is causing issues there. And so whilst we want to have that as a base and a solid base to make sure that we are giving your body really adequate tools to help be the best and optimize your wellness, there will be times when we do need to consider, for example, supplementation. Now, whether that be oral or actually injectable nutrition, just to help optimize your body. It is quite a big world and often a difficult world to navigate. So I would just also say make sure that you do consult with a healthcare professional if you are going to go down this route.
How can one tell if they are running low on something very important? Is there going to be signs, or is proper testing the only way to find out?
So I would take a super common deficiency, so vitamin D deficiency, and some of the signs and symptoms there are going to be fatigue and low energy, poor mood, and meaning, low mood, but also anxiety as well, irritability, brain fog, poor concentration, also aches and pains, so muscular pains or joint pain as well. So you could probably hear and probably tick off a few there as well that you might be impacted by, or whether that be one that's on the list or actually all of them. At some point, some people will feel that. And so you can see that that does correlate to nutritional deficiency. So then it would be appropriate to go and get a lab blood test, basically, just to make sure and see whether you do have any nutritional deficiencies that then can be rectified, and hopefully those signs and symptoms will then improve as that deficiency is mitigated.
And how does IV therapy actually differ from just swallowing a pill?
So at REVIV, we've been delivering IV therapy for over a decade. It is a prescribed treatment that is nutritionally based, but it really it fuses more traditional medicine with functional nutritional intervention. IV therapy allows us to give and administer therapeutic nutrition, and it goes directly into the bloodstream. So bioavailability compared to oral supplementation, for example, is much improved. And because we're directly delivering it to the cells that need it, so they will take it up, utilize it where it's required. So it's going to, in that nature, be much faster than an oral supplementation. Faster, but also safe and effective.
And which IV blends are most commonly used to support the immune system?
So when thinking about IV blends, it's going to be something that is antioxidant rich. That is our number one goal here. So in intravenous infusion, for example, that includes vitamin C, also thinking about other antioxidants like alpha-lipoic acid, for example, glutathione, selenium, zinc. That is where there is most significant level of evidence in terms of a direct correlation between having good amounts of those nutrients and vitamins correlating then to immune support. Not forgetting then as well that by having it as an IV therapy, you are also improving your hydration status, which is also important. One that incorporates, and one of the RIV therapies that incorporates all of those bits is going to be the REVIV IV. And for overall wellness as well, for example, thinking about having the mega boost with added glutathione, you can also increase the vitamin C dose within that IV to give your immune system an extra boost as well. One of the things to bear in mind is you might have noticed that vitamin D was missing from that list there. So vitamin D is actually a fat-soluble vitamin. So it's not something that we could administer in an IV capacity. And at REVIV, it is something that we offer as a blood test. So to come in and check your vitamin D levels. And if you are deficient in vitamin D, then it is something that we would be able to offer if you are vitamin D deficient, subject to medical screening.
If there's one message you'd want people to walk away with about immune health, what would that be?
I think it's got to be sleep, and for people not to underestimate how important sleep is. So good quality, but also long enough, and to make it as something as consistent as possible. So really optimizing sleep hygiene and making that an important habit, basically, to really try and create a good sleep environment. If I'm allowed an extra one, it's to make sure, again, particularly going into winter months where we will be exposed to less sunlight, is going to be making sure that your vitamin D levels from a dietary perspective, but also oral supplementation, that's going to be something that is very high up on people's priority list.